Okay, so the final part of our coding at the moment is to get that final sort of end game or lose screen working. So currently when I press run, I'm presented with a graphical user interface. My first game, click to start. I click once and I have an ellipse bouncing around. When I lose all my lives, it jumps to a game over page, but there's nothing written on it. And when I click, it briefly takes me back to my first game, but it's bugging. It just keeps losing. So what I need to do is fix a couple of things in here. And the first thing I'm going to do is to go down to my game over area and to put some text on this page. So we use the function text, and my text is going to say game over, and I'm going to put that width divided by 2, height divided by 2, so it's in the center of the screen. I'm also just going to add a fill to that. So before here, I'm going to go fill, and I'm going to change that to white, considering my background is black, but we can use whatever color we want. I'm also going to choose text size of 50, so that it's nice and large. So the background is black, the fill color is white, the text size is 50, and my text says game over. There's a width of half the canvas and a height of half the canvas, so it's going to be positioned right in the middle of the page. I also want my text to be centered, so I'm going to choose text align center. Okay, so if I press play now, we'll see what happens. At least I should now get a page that says game over. Perfect. I also would like to say click to restart. So under here I'm going to say text size 15, text click to restart. Also with a width divided by 2, so it's right in the center of the x-axis, but I want the height to be -30. Okay, here we go, click to restart. It briefly goes to my game window, but comes straight back to game over. Now, earlier we had a problem with it registering a click from the first screen, so we roughly avoided that by changing our lives here to 4. What the problem actually is the way that we have done our if statements here in the mouse pressed function. So what I'm going to do is change the value of lives back to 3, which is the amount of lives that I want my player to have, and I'm going to fix the error in the mouse press function. I'm going to fix my main problem by having a look at the if statements that I've got in here. So at the moment I have if scene is equal to 0, scene, change the scene to scene 1. Rather than just having an if statement here, I'm going to say else if scene 1 is equal to 1, create a float for distance. If that float is less than 50, add 1 to the score. Else, -1 from the lives. If the lives are equal to 0, then change it to scene 2. So I'm just checking all my brackets here are correct, which they are. And finally, again, rather than pressing if here, I'm going to say else if scene equals 2, and rather than running this GUI function, I'm just going to say scene is equal to 0. So when I'm on scene 0 and I press the button, it goes to scene 1. When I'm on scene 1 and I click 3 times not on the ellipse, it changes to scene 2. When I'm on scene 2 and I click, it changes to scene 0. Let's see if that has fixed my issue. So I get my first game screen. It says click to start. I click once. I have a score of 0 and 3 lives. So it's solved that issue already of my lives needing to be 1 higher than they were. I can then click as many times as I want on the purple ellipse, but when I click, I get my game over screen, and then I click to restart and I'm back to my first game screen. So this is my first working game. There are many things that we can do within this game now to customize it. So obviously it's very easy at the moment to actually click on the ellipse. So what we can do is increase these values for Bx and By. So that'll increase the speed or the velocity of the ball on the XY axis. So if I was to bring this up now to say 7 and bring the Vy up to 7, we can see that that actually speeds it up quite a lot, making it harder to click on. But we can see that it also makes it bounce in quite a static way. So we might want to just vary those slightly. So one's faster than the other and it bounces around a little bit more. Make that one 10. Click to start. So that's going to bounce now a lot faster and more randomly. And it's difficult for me to click on it. Now there is just one more bug in our game that we need to fix. So if I play my game here and I attempt to get some sort of a score and my game's over, I click to restart and we can see here that my score and my lives are already set to where they were before. And then my lives just start going into the negative and my game's kind of broken. So what I need to do is to have this void set up with all of our variable values run again each time the person tries to play it. So at the moment it only plays once when we press the play button. We want it to run every single time the game starts. So what I can actually do is call that function just here in this GUI function. So in here I'm just going to say setup. And I'm going to call that function. So each time the game gets back to this GUI function, it's quickly going to run this function and set all of our values back to our original values. And then it's going to set the background and align and do everything else that it needs to do. So now we should see that when I click on my game, I have 3 lives. And they get set back to 3 again at the start. And if I do manage to get the score, that would also reset back to 0 each time also. And we can see that they've all reset. And that is the end of your first game.